10 games on a busy Sunday night. We had some breaking news. We had news on Joel Embiid. Probably could have seen this coming, should have seen this coming. Nothing official yet, but we'll talk about what's going on in Philadelphia, as well as all of the action from a pretty entertaining night in the NBA. This is the Sunday post-game show. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Cause I'm loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I'm Adam King. Find me on Twitter and on Blue Sky at AdamKing91. Find us, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere, everywhere you consume your fantasy basketball content. We are also part of the Old Man Squad at Old Man Squad on Twitter. Questions starting to come in. Very good. 10 games. Let's start with Joel Embiid, though. We got news earlier. I think games had started, but we did get news out of Philadelphia, basically saying that Philly are exploring options for Joel Embiid. I feel like I've probably talked about this yesterday and not all season, but for quite a while. The fact that they just need to shut him down and get surgery because his knees are shot. The only chance he has of getting back to anything close to what he was, which I guess he could in theory, but he needs a meniscus to be able to do that. He doesn't have one at the moment. So they are probably talking with specialists and surgeons about meniscus transplant or replacement options here. Significant surgery. So, yeah, the time is now. Shut him down. If they continue trying to win, they will probably lose their draft pick for next year. So, look, everything here is pointing towards Joel Embiid's season being over. Of course, no confirmation. For whatever reason, they might come out of this little adventure saying, we think he can play through it. Let's hope not, for his sake. So what are we doing? Hold him. We're not dropping him yet. If we do get word, obviously, that he is going to miss the rest of the season, we do drop him. And we probably go and look at Gershon Yabusele, even if they were to shut down or sort of start tanking, however we want to phrase that. I think Yabusele is fairly safe. I don't think he is someone they would need to shut down or want to shut down. So I think he's fairly safe. His upside is pretty limited. He's like a top 100 player. He's a little bit hit or miss. But whenever Embiid has missed time, look, not to start the season, but over the last couple of months, it's been Yabusele who started. Andre Drummond just looks pretty washed, so I'm not interested in him. Maybe in deeper leagues, but really it's Yabusele. And then if Maxey and Paul George, probably not Kelly Oubre, I don't think they'd shut him down either, but Maxey and Paul George, if they do look to ease back on those guys a little bit, there'll be more for Yabusele to do. So I think his floor will be safe enough to have in a standard league, and then up from there, depending on what happens with the rest of the squad. So that's the Embiid news. Don't know how long it's going to be until we get a formal sort of diagnosis here. Hopefully it'll be fairly quick. Let's get into some games. First game, it was an early start today. New York head into Boston and walk away with it wasn't an embarrassing loss, but they certainly were outclassed in this one. Let's start with the Knicks. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby both played. Josh Hart, 20, 11, and 9. No steals or blocks in this one, but everything else was good. Good to see him back on the floor. And, of course, playing 40 minutes despite coming off a knee injury. I try to give Thibs the benefit of the doubt sometimes. It's pretty hard to do it in this game here. So Karl Anthony Towns, 24 and 18. Pretty empty line. Like the rebounds are good, the points are good, but no defensive stats, no assists. He appeared to injure his knee on a drive to the basket. He's had some ongoing issues with knees and things like that. Most of the Knicks players do have things going on. He left the game noticeably hobbled or inconvenienced by that knee. They were down by 15, 20 points. And of course, Thibs put him back into the game. I don't think you can really defend it. As a Cat fan or a Knicks fan or an NBA fan, it's almost like duty of care, I guess, if you wanted to phrase it like that. It's just, I have no idea why he did this, unless Cat just demanded to go back in. Anyway, no word on what this injury is. If it's something that's going to cost him time, let's assume he's questionable for the next game and just keep an eye on the injury report. OG Anunoby, as I said, he returned. He hasn't looked great since he returned. 10 points, 2 assists. Who knows how sore he is. Excuse me. This was always going to be the issue with the Knicks from day one. We said if they suffer 1-2 injuries, they're stuffed because they have no depth. Precious Achiuwa has been fine. Miles McBride has been probably underwhelming, I think. So if they do lose Towns for any length of time here, if Anunoby or Hart continue to deal with injuries that cause them to miss games and eventually turn into something more serious, the Knicks are done, I think. For Boston, not really a lot to talk about. They were all pretty good. When they're healthy, when they're playing well, Peyton Pritchard, Al Horford, these guys, we don't need to be rostering them. Drew Holiday had his best game in quite a while. 14 points, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block. I'm not running to add him after this. We've got a sample size of 2 months of him doing very little as opposed to 1 game of him doing something. So not prioritising him here. Second game of the night, the Mavericks go down to the Warriors. Dallas are just in trouble. They don't have a centre. I mean, they were against a team here that doesn't even run a centre, and they were played off the court, really. 126 to 102 was the final score. Kessler Edwards started again, but he's not a centre. Look, PJ was okay. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's still dealing with an ankle injury. Maxence Prosper, 17 minutes off the bench. Moses Brown only played 9 minutes, as you can see in this one. So until they get Lively, Gafford, Davis, at least one of them back, I think they're going to struggle against the better teams. They'd probably still be okay against someone like a Washington or a Charlotte, but yeah, it's going to be tough sledding, I think, for the next couple of weeks. Kyrie Irving, he's going to have to do a lot. He didn't in this one. They were never really in the game, so yeah, I wouldn't sort of worry too much about it. Max Christie, 2 points in his 22 minutes. He will be better than this. This is his worst game by far. Keep an eye out on your waiver wire just in case someone throws the towel in early and gets rid of him. I think he still has to be rostered. Najee Marshall probably needs to be rostered as well. They just gave minutes to their bench guys here, given the state of the game. For the Warriors, Pajemski continues to play very well. Jimmy Butler, he's doing his thing enough. He's not blowing us away, but he's certainly made a difference. Moses Moody, we're rostering him until Kuminga is back, and it sounds like we're probably still 2 or 3 games, from Kuminga returning. Buddy Hield had 3 points off the bench. Please, I hope no one is still holding Buddy Hield. And Draymond Green just did his thing. Make sure he is rostered. I'm assuming he's rostered. But we don't need to dig into the performance of the Warriors too much because it was a very comfortable win. All right, the Clippers go down to the Pacers 129 to 111. No Kawhi Leonard, no Norm Powell. They are on a back-to-back, so keep an eye on the injury report tomorrow. You would assume Kawhi plays, but this is a new injury he's dealing with. It's not his knee, it's his foot, I think. So usually I would say, yep, he's going to play. It's just injury maintenance, but this is a new one. So do be prepared for another absence tomorrow if he's not good to go. With both of those guys out, Amir Coffey, Derek Jones got the start. Neither were super convincing or super valuable. Ben Simmons had 24 minutes off the bench, 8 points, 4 assists, 2 steals. 24 minutes is probably just enough, but he was back. He was down at 20 in the last game. We get Powell back. We get Kawhi back. His minutes probably do scale back a little bit. So he's very borderline, as is Bogdan Bogdanovic at the moment. Zubats, Harden, they were good. And Chris Dunn is a specialist. I had a question, I think, the other day. Is he a must roster or just a specialist? And I said specialist, and I stand by that. He had 4 points, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block in 27 minutes. Specialist numbers, if ever I saw one. For the Pacers, Halliburton was very good in this one. Nice to see as a Halliburton manager. Strong performances are always welcome. Neesmith had a good game. Look, the Clippers defense, I saw some stuff on Twitter about this over the last, month or something. Defensively, they're very bad, and they were very bad in this one. The Pacers just ran them off the court, basically got to the basket at will. So I'm not overreacting to Aaron Neesmith's performance or TJ McConnell's performance. McConnell played well, but he did suffer an injury in this one, wasn't able to finish the game. So, look, if he misses time, there's no real beneficiaries here. They'll just give more minutes to Ben Shepherd, Ben Mathurin. So, yeah, we're not taking too much away from this performance, either in terms of streaming or adding or anything like that. All right, Phoenix, the struggling Phoenix Suns, they fall to the Raptors. I think the Raptors, I did see this. I think it was what was it, 105? I don't know. They ended the game on like a 20-4 run or something. And no excuses for the Suns here. Fully healthy. They're just not good. Beal was good. Booker was good. Kevin Durant struggled. They've just got no one on the bench who can do anything consistently. Nick Richards is, look, his numbers here are fine, 10 and 8 with a steal and a block, but he's not an offensive threat. Royce O'Neal, he had those 2 strong games, but he's not an offensive threat either. He gets you stats across the board, but they're not typically points. Tyus Jones was on the bench again, 0 points, 3 assists, 1 steal. It's been what a decline for him over the last week. Don't roster him, obviously. Bol. Remember we said not that you didn't have to add him. 5 points, 3 rebounds in 7 minutes. He's not a good player. There's a reason that he is not or wasn't in the rotation and hasn't been in the rotation wherever he's played. He's not a contributing player when it comes to winning basketball. So for the Suns, look, it's Nick Richards. He's sort of a rosterable player, but not someone you have to roster. Royce O'Neal, really just a streamer. Grayson Allen, he'd be the only other one I'd consider, I think, at this stage. For the Raptors, quickly looking better. 23 points, 8 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. I've no idea what they're going to do with him in a month, but ride this out. Barrett, Barnes were both good. Grady Dick is a points streamer and nothing more. Chris Boucher. Look, when Chris Boucher is putting up 23 and 10 on you, you know you're not playing well. So that's where we're at. Orlando Robinson continues to start, which I like to see. 10 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Deeper leagues, I think you could look at him. Standard leagues, he's not really playing enough at this stage. And with him starting, Jonathan Mobo is not someone we need to look at. All right, Washington at Orlando. Fairly comfortable in the end for the Magic. Wizards kept it close for a while, 110-90. Magic do get the win for the Wizards. Jordan Poole was fine. This is what we're going to see. It's just going to be very mediocre, I think, for the rest of the season. Koulibaly was okay, 11 points, 6 assists. Is he must roster? I think he's borderline. I think you could actually make a case that no one on this roster is must roster at the moment. Jordan Poole, I guess, probably is. But I don't know. Make a case for anyone. I don't think you can. Alex Sarr when he plays, but they're already showing signs of just sitting him out whenever they want to. I streamed in Kispert tonight. I got 9 points. I'll move on from him. He's not a good player. So, yeah, I think outside of Poole and maybe Koulibaly, but again, he's very, very borderline. I don't think you need to hold anyone. For the Magic, the minutes were just down here. They didn't need to push their guys down the stretch. Wendell Carter started again. He had 11 and 9 with a steal and a block in 20 minutes. Gogo was actually pretty good in this one as well. 11 and 9 with 2 steals in his 22 minutes. I'd still prefer Wendell Carter because he's starting and has been playing minutes in the high 20s. The Anthony Black, Cole, Anthony merry-go-round continues. Anthony Black had 23, 7 and 3 with a steal and a block. Cole Anthony had 5 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. I think we're just better off ignoring both of them at this stage because it's just fraught with danger at this point. Cole Anthony has been the more consistent of the two, but as we saw tonight, he was terrible. So if you streamed him in on a Sunday night to try and win you some categories, he probably lost you some categories. So, yeah, look, I'm just really not going to worry about either of those guys. Hopefully Suggs is not far away either. Next game. The Heat and the Bucks. Bucks get the win in the end. The Heat had the lead for a pretty significant portion of this game, but just run out of steam a little bit. Tyler Hero was very good. Khalil Ware was better in this one. Played a lot of minutes, which is not surprising against the Bucks, who are one of the more sizable teams in the league. Ware had 12 and 12 with a block in 37 minutes. Look, if he was going to play 37 minutes or even 30 minutes a night, we'd have to roster him, but he hasn't been. He's a little bit like a Wendell Carter or someone we were talking about earlier. I don't know. He's fine if you want to roster him, but you don't have to. Davion Mitchell continues to start. The minutes are good. If you need assists and steals, he's okay, but 5 points in this one. I don't think you have to be rostering him. Jovic suffered a fractured hand, so there are going to be more minutes to go around here for someone. Duncan Robinson, Terry Rozier, Kyle Anderson, Haywood Highsmith, Alec Burks could come back into the rotation. So I really don't see anyone here as someone that we need to go and prioritise as a pickup. Huckers will come back as well. So, yeah, it'll just be a few more minutes for about 5 guys, none of which are going to be a difference maker, I don't think. For the Bucks, Kyle Kuzma, this is more like what we should expect from him. Some points, not much else. He had 16 points in his 34 minutes. I think we hold him, but don't expect the world. Giannis was good. Brook Lopez had 17 points with 4 rebounds, 2 blocks. Lillard was good. Taurean Prince was very Taurean Prince. Gary Trent had 3 threes off the bench. When they're healthy like this, don't worry about looking at any of their bench guys other than probably Trent, maybe AJ Green. They'd be the only 2 that I would consider. All right, next game. This was a fun one. Detroit at Atlanta. Detroit get the win in the end, and this was regulation, not overtime, 148-143. Cade Cunningham, who had 29 points at halftime, he finished with 38 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Continues his breakout season. Jalen Duren, this is a perfect example of a coach overreacting and not letting players play through fouls. Now, look, they won, so it doesn't matter. But Jalen Duren picked up 2 fouls in the first I think it was 3 minutes of the game, so they benched him. He finished with 13, 5 and 6 with a steal. Numbers are pretty good in 23 minutes. And he had 2 fouls. So, yeah, just coaching stupidity, always having to pull players off the court. Let them play through their fouls, please. Asar Thompson also had foul trouble, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. So don't worry about the low minutes for him. Malik Beasley was good off the bench, 24 points, although 4 of 8 from the free throw line is a bit of a kick in the nuts. And I know because I lost free throws because of Malik Beasley in a league, as well as Donovan Mitchell, who was like 7 of 11. Oh, we'll get to him, but he was 7 of 11 or something. I don't know. Between them, guys that should be shooting 80, 85%, they were they're in my bad books, let's say, for their free throws tonight. Schroeder had 16 points, 7 assists, his best game as a Piston. No, we're not adding him anywhere. And Tim Hardaway even had 6 threes. Nothing more than a 3-point streamer. Look, you play Atlanta, you're going to get opportunities to score, and they did that. For the Hawks, Okongwu had 16 and 9. Not his best game, but not his worst game. Mohamed Gay started, did nothing. I don't know. I guess they're just starting him because they like George Niang and Karis LeVert coming off the bench. Reece Shea was actually pretty good in this one. 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Absolutely a 12-team line. Is he a 12-team player? I still don't think you have to roster him. But if you want to try and catch fire here and or catch lightning in a bottle, is that the phrase? Going at him. We hadn't seen these kind of numbers, but he certainly is getting an opportunity. George Niang had 27 points off the bench. He's very hit or miss. He's a good streamer. That's about it. Same can be said for LeVert. Niang is a big liability defensively, though. If you watch this game, he's basically a turnstile. So there's positives and negatives to having someone like George Niang as a key piece in your rotation. Trae Young had 38, 13. So a good night for him. Really, he's the only one looking like a consistent threat offensively. Dyson Daniels, another elite fantasy line. I don't need to give him any more praise than I already have, do I? 24 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 3 threes. Defensive player of the year? Man, that would be so good. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would love it if it did. Memphis, Cleveland, probably the best game of the night. The Thunder Wolves game was okay, but Grizzlies go down 129 to 123. Actually, no real standouts here. Luke Kennard had his best game in a while, but this was just a situation where he was playing well, so they left him on the floor. Zach Edey had 6 and 9 with a steal and a block in 25 minutes. He's still the center that I would want to roster in Memphis, but I don't think you have to roster him. Aldama, he just finds a way to put up value. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 threes, 29 minutes. So he's pretty much their 6th man at the moment. What role he plays on any given night, it changes, but he's doing enough to be rostered. Jalen Wells is not. And Ja Morant, he got some points late. He had 10 assists, but he's still... I'm not going to say he's a shell of his former self, but he's certainly not the player that he was a couple of years ago. For the Cavs, Mobley, his breakout continues to chug along nicely as well. 25 points, 13 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks. Strus had 11 and 8. Both he and DeAndre Hunter are just streamers. Jared Allen, Donovan Mitchell. There's Donovan Mitchell, 7 of 11 from the liner. So what's going on there? I don't know. Okoro started, but we know he's not a fantasy asset. And Ty Jerome had 26 points in his 23 minutes. No, he's not a must-roster player unless Garland misses time. No word on what's going on with Garland and if this is going to be something that extends to multiple games. So if you want to grab Jerome just in case, then sure, he's been very, very good this season. But once Garland is back, he's only going to play minutes in the teens, which is not enough for him to be rostered everywhere. All right, Spurs at New Orleans, the second last game of the night. The Pelicans, pretty comfortable win in the end after trailing for much of the first three quarters, 114-96. Let's start with Devin Vassell, who was very bad and has been very bad. Is he a drop? I'm not dropping him, but that could just be me being stubborn as well. I mean, I hate to say it, but maybe you can drop him. Again, we're at the pointy end of the season. You need to be pretty cutthroat with your waiver wire pickups and who's must roster and who isn't must roster. He's right on the borderline at the moment. It's been, I mean, he's got a prime opportunity at the moment. If you look at that starting lineup, he should be option 2 on offense. And he's playing, he just, I don't know, he can't hit a shot. He doesn't look confident. So, I don't know. I like to think he'll be better than this. But if you need to move on, I understand it. Harrison Barnes, we don't need to add Harrison Barnes. But maybe we need to add Bismack Biyombo. It's 2025, and here we are. 10 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks, 2 steals. He's always good at being a good shot blocker and a decent rebounder, so you know you're going to get those numbers. He played 30 minutes. He is on a 10-day contract, so do remember that. But I think he's probably got a week left, maybe 6 days, so you might get another 3 games out of him. And depending on what's happening with Charles Bassey, maybe they just run with Biyombo for the rest of the season. Bassey played 6 minutes. 6 minutes. Look, the numbers in 6 minutes are pretty good. 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. But then he suffered a knee injury. Now, this is supposedly not related to the knee, to the MCL sprain. This is a patella injury. His knees, I mean, he just can't seem to stay healthy. So I'm a little bit worried here about what they do with him. I'd like to think that he will get healthy and they will play him and start him. But at the moment, I'm not sure. So I think you have to go and add Biyombo for now. If you picked up Bassey, 3-4 days ago when we got the Wemby news, I would try and stash him. I'm going to in a couple of leagues. But you can certainly move on if you need to, because the path here is very, very uncertain. Fox was, he was fine. Chris Paul was pretty bad. It was just the second half, especially for this team, was just really, really rough. And if this is a sign of what's to come, then it's going to be a bumpy, we've already got 2 months left or something like that, 6-7 weeks for the Spurs. Keldon Johnson had 18 points off the bench. You can stream him in for points. Jeremy Sohan, much like Devin Vassell, is someone that I thought would benefit here with Wemby out, but he really hasn't done anything. And much like Vassell, I think hold him if you can, but if you need to move on, I think you're okay to move on. Steph Castle, I put this up on Twitter. Sometimes he looks really good. Today he was just terrible. Poor decision-making, bad shots. Defensively, like he gets in the air and then looks lost. So I still really don't know what to think of him as a prospect. I picked him up in a league. I sort of streamed him in for steals. I'm absolutely fine moving on from him. So I don't think you have to roster him. And Julian Champagny, much like Keldon Johnson, if you need points, I think you can give him a look. For the Pelicans, Zion was good. Sell high if you want to. If you think that there's sort of a down period coming or a shutdown or anything like that, you could sell high on him. Yves Missi started. He had 15 rebounds in his 23 minutes. He's just a rebounds and blocks streamer. Trey Murphy, pretty rough night for him, but he will be better than this, obviously. Same goes for CJ McCollum. Kelly Olynyk, 14 and 15. 2 assists. We know what he can do. If he gets 25 minutes a night, he has to be rostered. Does he get 25 minutes a night? Not sure. We'll find out. If you want to take a chance here and pick him up, by all means, go ahead. he will be in my. I'll have a sit start article coming out tomorrow, I think. Yeah, tomorrow for the upcoming week, and he is in it. So there's a spoiler. Jose Alvarado, I've seen him dropped in a few leagues. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 30 minutes off the bench. If he's getting 30 minutes, you have to roster him. I don't care if he's coming off the bench. You still have to roster him. Karlo Matkovic had 19 points in his 21 minutes. The Misi, Alinik, Matkovic sort of conundrum here makes all three rosterable or droppable. I think you can make a case for any of them. So until we get some clarity, it's if you've got them, if you want to hold them, sure. If you want to just drop them and stream, you can do that as well. All right, last game of the night. The Thunder get the win over the Timberwolves, 130-123. For the Thunder, not really a lot in this one. Hardly 26 minutes for Hartenstein, 28 minutes for Chet. Now, part of this was the fact they were against Minnesota, who were running Naz Reid at center. So they went small a little bit more than they probably will. But, I mean, their roster is so good that they can basically run with small, big, mix it up, whatever they want to do. So both of those guys will be fine and were pretty good tonight. Shea, don't need to talk about him. Lou Dort, don't need to be rostering him now that they're fully healthy. Alex Caruso had 11, 7 and 2 with 2 steals now. Good line, 12-team line, yes, but he hit 3 threes, I think, in the last quarter, which took him from 2 points to 11 points. So, yeah, he is really just a steals streamer, as is Kaysen Wallace. Aaron Wiggins had a little hot patch in this one, 15 points, nothing else. Both he and Isaiah Joe are our points/3-point streamers. For the Timberwolves, no Rudy Gobert. So Naz Reid got the start and played well, as he has been doing for the last month. Jaden McDaniels was good. Jalen Clark looked really good in this one, 14 points with 4 steals. He did suffer a neck injury, sort of went up for a drive. Yes, he was. Yeah, so driving the basketball, fell, hit his head on the court, on his back of his head on the court. Was able to walk off, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's a concussion as part of this as well. It's an injury that I have suffered, and it's not nice. He's going to have a headache, so could be a bit of missed time here. But, I mean, he's not someone we're rostering anyway. He's more of a streamer when he's playing meaningful minutes, which isn't every night. Mike Conley had 9 points, 5 assists. He's fine at the moment. DiVincenzo, Julius Randle are supposedly both within about a week of coming back. So that will make Jalen Clark, Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, these guys will trend towards being drops. Alexander Walker had 18 points off the bench, didn't do anything else. Just shot the ball well. He does this from time to time, but not enough to make him a must-roster player. All right, that was a lot. Let's get into some questions very quickly. All right, Galahad. Time to grab Yabusele. I think so. Like I said, expectations aren't super high, but he should play, yeah. With Jovic fracturing his hand, where Klingon or Kamara? Josh said that Kamara's play isn't sustainable. No, look, it's probably not. He has been playing very well offensively, especially. The defense will stick. I think he is just a very good defensive player. I don't think it's where. Klingon, again, I mean, it sort of seems like the cop-out answer when I say it depends on what stats you need. But it does depend on what stats you need, because Klingon is a 2-category player, rebounds and blocks. So if you don't need those, go Kamara. I would even argue that Kamara is as good a rebounder as Klingon, so it comes down to blocks. And like I said yesterday, Kamara is actually a decent shot blocker. So it's probably still Kamara for me. Alex flirted a trade to send Jaren Jackson and Mark Williams for Cat. Does Cat's injury change anything? Will I still try to get Cat? Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. The injury didn't look good. I mean, the fact he came back on the court it's just baffling, to be honest. I mean, Mark Williams is out tomorrow, so they're obviously going to be very cautious with him moving forward. But Jaren Jackson's been really good. I don't know. I think it's a fine trade, but this injury to Cat, it concerns me a little bit. So I would be hesitant to send that offer out now. Would I start Keontae or OG in a 12-team Cat league? Probably Keontae at the moment. OG's been pretty bad. He could still be injured. He's really just a steals guy. Keontae's been scoring the ball well. He's getting assists. He's hitting threes. So I think I'd go Keontae. The 76ers don't deserve Tyrese Maxey. No, they do not. Lunch Lady looked great today. He did. Would I pick him up or Yabusele? It's probably Yabusele if we get word that Embiid is out. So I'd hold off and just wait and see. Joseph Kim wants to keep stashing Scoot, but his pod's an ad over him. Kuminga coming back in 2 games. Yeah, that's what I've heard, 2-3 games. So I still think Pods is going to play a pretty key role for them. I think that's probably okay to add Pods. What else have we got here? I hear movement in my house, so I'm probably going to have to go and help with dinner. Another one from Joseph Kim. Think my Quickly Randall trade from December is working out right now. Hope Quickly doesn't get shut down. Yeah, look, he's playing very well. So hopefully they don't. It sounds like the narrative coming out of Toronto is that they want to play these guys and get them minutes together. We'll see. Carl, what are my thoughts on Dante's return? Planning to use number 1 waiver on him. Would it be worth dropping Io, Rozier, or Bassi for him and Davion Mitchell? Rozier, yeah, get rid of him. I'd have Dante over all of those guys based on what we saw before the injury and the fact that Mike Conley is playing like me. So, yes, I would have Dante over all of those guys. Don't think I'd be adding Davion Mitchell, though. So I would drop Rozier and add Dante. Even Bassi, maybe. Like I said, he's a stream, but yeah. Okay, what happened to Max Christie? Bad game. Yeah, they were soundly beaten. I'm not worried at all about this one. Ernest, keen to grab Alvarado to stream the week before playoffs. Who should I drop? Weakest players are Oubre, Grimes, and Suggs. Ooh. I wouldn't drop Oubre, only because if Embiid doesn't play, there's more for him to do. Paul George could then miss games. So I don't think I'd drop him. Grimes has been playing pretty well for them. Suggs. It might be Suggs. Because even when he comes back, I think they're probably going to ease him in slightly. And he and Alvarado are very similar. They're assists and steals primarily. Suggs has got a little bit more offensive upside. But, yeah, so it might be Suggs if it comes down to it. Is Dante an ad over Scoot or Pods? It's pretty close. I think all 3 of them are pretty close. Yeah, probably my only concern with Dante DiVincenzo is the fact that he hasn't played and it was a toe injury. So they could be a little bit cautious bringing him back. So he might not hit his ceiling for another 3 weeks. Cloud City. Oh, it's the same question. It's just spelled properly. 8 Cat, punting assists, who to drop between Christie, Grimes, Sarr, Kamara. Not Kamara. Punting assists. It might be Sarr, maybe. Unless you need blocks, it would be Sarr for me. With the possible return of Mitchell Robinson, would he be a 14-team ad? Well, I mean, if Cat's going to miss time, probably. Based on what we've seen, if Cat is healthy and playing, I don't think so, because Achua is still playing that backup centre. They're going to be really cautious with... Well, are they? It's the Knicks. I think they're probably going to be cautious with him. He's been out for so long, and he is a specialist anyway. So possibly, if you want to grab him and just stash him, you could. Okay, Ryan, 16-0. There you go. It's a good season. Weekly games cap with a deep bench, 12-team points. Who should I take a flyer on rest of season? DiVincenzo would be one, I think. And then it's probably, I guess I'm just trying to look for players with upside. And it's probably DiVincenzo. And it's maybe Day'Ron Sharp. I just don't know if we're going to get this Day'Ron Sharp breakout that I'm hoping for. Yeah, we'll see. I'd go DiVincenzo and... I don't know who the next one would be, honestly. Probably not Bassi at this stage. I'm not scared, but I don't know what's happening there in San Antonio. Risa Shea, I think we've seen who Risa Shea is. Olynyk, I just don't see any way that he plays more than what he played tonight. Keldon Johnson, just points. I don't know. You take a flyer on any of those guys, I think, but DiVincenzo definitely. All right, I'm going to fly through these ones because I need to get out of here. Do I think Schroeder can get back to being a 14-team player if he plays 20 minutes a game? Maybe. I'm not convinced. Do I think Towns misses more than a week? No idea. I can't answer that one. I don't know. Do we take Ware or Alvarado over Scoot in a points league? I think Scoot is the best of those three in a points league. If he hits any sort of a ceiling, but does he? I don't know. I think they're all sort of comparable. Ware was good today, but like I said, it was a matchup thing. He had been pretty bad prior to that. Alvarado's fairly steady off the bench. I'd be okay with Alvarado. Is Devin Vassell a drop in a 9-cat 10-team league? Picking up. Sadly, maybe. Like I said, I'm going to hold him, but that's more me being stubborn, I think. So I'd be okay, I think, if you wanted to do that. Lone Des. We need to add a Olynyk. Willie Green said he's going to give him the ball a lot. Look, if they're going to play Olynyk 25 plus minutes and utilize him as a hub like he can, then yes. I didn't think they would, but if they've said that, then sure. What round do I think Yabusele can be? I think top 100 maybe. He's not that good. Planning to get Dante once he's healthy, but he has the least amount of games in the playoffs. Would he be worth holding if he gets to pre-injury form? If he does, yes, he could be top 70 kind of a player. But other than that, yeah, I mean, 9 games, that's tough. So sure, I think you could. Is Fox getting shut down due to his finger injury? Look, they might go down that path. He didn't look great today. Look, Castle's been doing enough that you can stash him because he is putting up some numbers. What does that do? Kings might start Keon in the next game. They might. I haven't heard that, but yeah, it would mean someone would move to the bench, yes. And it wouldn't be Levine or DeRozan, so I would assume it would be Monk, but I haven't heard that. But look, it could be true. They've got to try something because they're playing bad. All right, I need to go. I'm getting summoned. Pre-game show tomorrow. Yes, pre-game show should be back as per normal, into a bit of a routine now. So, yeah, should be normal shows for this week. Thank you, everyone, for watching along. Go and download, go and thumb, do all of that stuff. I'm Adam King. This has been the Balls Deep post-game show. Until next time, catch ya.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at FBI.